And welcome to Bayou City Geeks. We're still in a very odd time right now. However, while Jason is at work, I'm still kind of carrying the load just a bit with our interviews. We haven't done an interview in a year. God, I miss interviews. All right, so our first interview of 2021, the past 12 months, is Houston's own Dirk Strangely. Dirk, how you doing, man?
Not bad. Thank you.
Okay, so if I'm a little rusty, I apologize. It's been a while.
Lay it on me. I believe in you.
All right, so you have your new album coming out. I listened to some of it. It definitely does have a certain je ne sais quoi about it. I loved it. I Miss You, Mary Jane.
Miss you, Mary Jane. What can I say?
Tell me about your album.
Well, basically, it's an audible archive of the last decade of my life. And as an artist, I know a lot of artists operate differently, but a very common thing that we share is we have a tendency to produce art when we're hurting or feeling something extreme.
Right.
So over the past decade, I've been writing songs for that purpose. And I kind of express my troubles and pain and anxiety through humor. So it helps me deal with it. And I think it's a healthy way to deal with it with some of the alternatives that are out there, which are becoming massively depressed and shriveling into a small ball of nothing until I can't leave my bed. So in order to keep myself from doing that, I keep productive and I keep creative. So that's a good segue into my album. It's not depressing though. It's not depressing.
It's not.
It'll make you laugh. It has a lot of humor in it.
Well, I mean, it's funny you bring up like how artists do go to, or a lot of artists go to like when they're hurting, to writing and making music or painting, which you have an amazing piece behind you, which I absolutely love that. My fiance found some of my old like songs I wrote like 15, 20 years ago, and she was like, "Do I need to be worried about you?" I'm like, "No, I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. That's why I am good. It's
right. You expressed it instead of holding it inside. You expressed it.
Exactly. So as I said, you know, I think this is probably like the best time for this album to come out because 2020 was such a horrible year for so many people. Is that kind of like where you finally say, like, okay, now I'm going to put like all this out and just like let it all out, or is like?
Yeah, because I made a living from traveling to different pop culture conventions, and all those came to a dead stop.
Yeah.
So guess what? My income came to a dead stop. And that's how I shared my creativity. So when I started doing things online, with Facebook algorithms and stuff like that, where I'm used to sharing my art, Facebook algorithms, a lot more people are online, which you would think a lot more people would be seeing your posts and your work, but it actually has the reverse effect where less people are seeing your posts because more people are online and their algorithms are being stingy with who sees what. So what I did is I work in all different kinds of mediums.
Right.
One of my mediums is music. So I just switched mediums because I can promote myself on other platforms that allow me to get my work out there, such as Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, stuff like that. So I just kind of switched gears. I'm one of those artists that rolls with the punches.
Which is good, which, was especially important because I know I know Conpalooza is hoping to have its con this year in July. I know hopefully I know the president's hoping that by July we're having, a good, soft relaunch of the country, I guess. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, like you've been doing, you've been going on iTunes, Spotify, but how excited are you for cons to open back up again?
Well, I am excited about them opening up again. I will be doing them again.
Right.
But I'm more excited about, well, and I may be able to do stuff at the conventions with my album too.
Right.
Although a big portion of my album probably isn't exactly family friendly. So what I'll have to what I'll have to do probably is play like after parties and stuff like that at the conventions. But I'm hoping to do, I am going to do a small tour of Texas with
Nice.
with the, touring the album, the band. I didn't even really have to put a band together. It's just I have friends that I'm like, okay, my album's coming out, and they're like, okay, when are we playing?
Then those are friends right there.
Exactly.
Where now do you have tour dates, or you just like kind of
I haven't started booking the dates yet because I'm waiting for the CD to actually be in hand.
Okay.
Because I'm putting together promo packs to send out to all the different venues.
Nice. Now, actually, this is an important question. When does the CD come out?
Well, on the Kickstarter, you can get the CD right now. Look at it like a pre-order. Okay. And those funds are helping me not only pay for the CDs to be printed and right. distributed, but it's also helping recover some of the costs of pouring every dime I have into the album during a COVID crisis of making no money and not working. So the CD will be out officially April 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's by the time this goes up on our channel, should be less than a week away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's April 1st is when I'm putting in the order of the CDs to be shipped to me, and that's when it will be put into mass distribution. So by April 5th, somewhere around there, you'll be able to hear my album on Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, whatever Perfect. Platform you use, it's going to be on there, including TikTok. Because that's the way I roll.
You know what? It's one of those things where you've got to, stay current or get lost. I mean, that's how it is.
Yep.
And now in doing this album and picking the songs for the CD, how did you go about that? I'm gonna use this to also talk about your art, but how do you decide what songs to include? If it's a decade, I'm sorry, if it's a decade, I'm sure you've had a lot of songs.
Yeah, I have more than just what's on the album. I actually fully produced more than what's on the album as well. And I do have stretch goals on the Kickstarter. If we reach the stretch goals, I will be sending some of those additional songs to people. But there's 9 days left on the album, and I'm about $1,900 away from the next stretch goal. So I don't know, anything could happen. It's just getting the word out.
You're right.
But the way I decided which songs basically is which ones fit together most cohesively.
Okay.
And which ones would not get me judged as harshly by my family and friends. So which I still will be releasing those too, but I gotta release something that they can grab a hold of and then lay on the other stuff.
There you go. Now we'll talk about the album in a little bit, but your artwork is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. You're welcome. Now I know art, drawing is different than writing, but what is your process when you go into the art? Like, where do you start? What do you get do you have an idea, or you just start sketching?
It's the same as music. So basically, when I'm feeling strong emotion of any kind is when I create the best work.
Okay.
If I'm creating something because I have to, It's not the same. It's not the same feeling, and it doesn't come out the same. I've taught myself. I'm self-taught musician, painter, everything. You know, I grew up poor. So, but I didn't settle for the idea that if you didn't go to college or you didn't get a degree in something that you couldn't be a professional or even a master at it.
Right.
So from the time I was 7 years old, I've read every book on music that I could get my hands on. I've studied I'm classically trained in music. I can play classical, I could play jazz, I could play anything. I have a mariachi song on this album, and I'm releasing it in English, but I'm also going to do a single where I'm singing it in Spanish.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I'm classically trained in everything, including art. So like I've studied with the masters. I've also, and I'm getting to answering your question, but
right. No, take your time
here. I've not only studied the fundamentals of art, but I've also had the privilege of getting some tricks of the trade, if you will, that's not in books. It's only handed down.
Right.
Through some master artists. And one of them was Tommy Castillo, who had many mentors. And then another one is Ken Kelly, who is the nephew of Frank Frazetta.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he is said to be the only student of Frank, because Frank kept his secrets close. But because Ken was such, he was kind of a prodigy himself, or you know, he still is.
Right.
But when he was younger and around Frank, he was such a prodigy himself. Like he would ask him questions, and then Frank would answer his questions, and it would give him the information he needed. So some of Frank's secrets that he has was passed down to Ken. Ken Kelly is the one that did the Kiss album covers.
Oh, okay.
So all those cool, like the Destroyer album, all those cool like album covers that you remember growing up with, Ken Kelly painted those when he was younger. And so like I've gotten to sit down with him and pick his brain, and he shared secrets with me that he's never shared with anybody. So it's like I'm kind of a part of a family of people that have passed down secrets. And so to answer your question is, when I am feeling a strong emotion, whether it's happy, sad, motivated, inspired, even depressed,
right,
anxiety, whatever, when I create art, my technical abilities are muscle memory that kicks in.
Okay.
It's like running from something you're scared of. Like if you see a snake and you run from it, you don't have to think about your legs moving. They just get up and go.
Right.
And I use snakes because that's like one of the only things I'm really scared of is snakes. I don't like snakes.
Neither does Indiana Jones. It's okay.
Yeah, and I'm wearing his hat right now.
Exactly.
So when I have those extreme emotions of any kind, that's when I create art, and I don't have to think about the technical ability. I put in whatever emotion I'm feeling into the art, and that's why people have a tendency to respond to it so well. I've done commissions for people where I've given them their art. Hell, not even commissions. I've had people walk up to my table at art shows and conventions, look at a piece of art and break down and start crying right in front of my table because they're so moved by it. So that's because I create through emotion. And it doesn't matter what kind of art I'm doing, whether I'm painting or drawing or creating a song,
right.
It's the exact same way. I have a song on my album called I Drink and I Smoke. And I think, although that title sounds kind of generic, when you listen to the song, you're going to feel everything that I was going through, and you're going to relate to it, whether you've experienced it or not. And that's the power of, that's like my superpower as an artist. I'm able to project empathy and emotion through my work.
Which I can't wait to download. Okay, I'll get the CD definitely on iTunes, but and
Get it on Kickstarter.
I'll get on Kickstarter too. Yeah, both. There we go.
I dig it.
But you mentioned something about music and the fact that, I mean, art in general, yes, but music, is one of the very few mediums that you can hear a song and you're 10 years old again, 15, you're at a, you know where you're at.
Yep.
However, it does feel like a lot of music today is kind of missing that just a bit. And maybe it's because we don't have enough, I don't want to say true artists, but true artists. You have great vocalists, but do you feel like, that you have to kind of keep carrying that torch of not the old ways, but just good music?
I think that depends on the artist themselves. I think what you're hearing is like, it's cookie cutter formulaic stuff.
Yes.
And that's why it's kind of generic. Like, there's formulas that Hollywood follows, not just Hollywood, but I'm saying Hollywood is the royal Hollywood, just like,
right.
Like the top tier of what is mainstream is formulaic. Mm-hmm. And what that says about society is pretty basic. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm saying it as an observation, that there's certain formulas that I'll show you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. You know that song Earth Angel?
Yeah.
C, A minor, F. Sound familiar? Earth Angel?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna play the exact same progression. Oh, 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 oh. You don't have to go. Oh, oh. Led Zeppelin. There's Santo and Johnny. That song goes. You know that song?
Yeah.
That's also the same progression. So most of the top pop songs, and I'm not just talking about pop music, I'm talking about mainstream, like country, mainstream punk, mainstream rock, just pop, mainstream hip hop,
right,
all that. There's like progressions out there, chord progressions that they follow, and it's an instant that people are going to love it because it's formulaic. So there's certain things you can do, there's tricks, if you will, that you can do in the creating world that are guarantees. Like, if I paint something that I think of out of my mind that's completely obscure, even if it's really good, guess what? It's not going to appeal to as many people if I paint the Cheshire Cat from Wonderland, because there's a formula out there that appeals to massive amounts of people more than something original and unique. It's a sad truth. But to answer your question, I really don't care about the formula. I produce new stuff, because the formulas would never existed if someone creative didn't come up with them in the first place. So, like, it's important for me to innovate as opposed to recreate.
That's a great.
I hope I answered your question.
That's a great answer. Great answer. And speaking of, I was reading up on you, and I know that like Outlaw Country was kind of a big influence on you. Do you think we're missing that today?
Outlaw country?
Yeah, like on the radio, because I mean, you don't really hear that anymore.
Um, I want to say yes. I want to say
Okay.
yes, it is missing. But since I've kind of been looking into what's out there now and what people are doing now, there are outlaw country musicians out there, and they're really, really good. So, and like I would say Chris Stapleton is one of them. Jason
Okay.
Aldean. There's a guy I like, and I thought I was kind of the first to come up with it until I heard this guy, and I wasn't the first. His name is Wheeler Walker Jr. But remember those songs I was talking about leaving off of this album and
Yeah.
waiting until I get, can I say balls on here?
Balls.
Until I get bigger balls to release it. I thought, I was like, I'm onto something here. And then I hear Wheeler Walker Jr. and he's doing something very similar to something that I've been producing that everyone will hear very soon after this album. But Wheeler Walker Jr., he's kind of an outlaw in his own way. And there's what is it, Tyler Childers? I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Childers or something like that. But there is an underground like outlaw country western scene and people love it, but it's underground, it's not mainstream. Chris Stapleton's probably the closest to mainstream. He's the closest one that's gotten to the mainstream.
Gotcha.
He's not mainstream, but he's closest to getting to where he's like being played on the radio and stuff that I can think of. So it is out there, and for a while it wasn't. So I have to agree with you. Up until recently, probably in the past 5 years, it wasn't out there. Like in the, I would say the late 90s up until like the Garth Brooks era was kind of like the end of outlaw country, and then it refueled again.
I agree with that.
Around 2010, I would say.
Okay, I agree with that. All right, so your album's coming out. Hopefully, Kickstarter everything comes out April 1st, April 5th, in that 5-day period. What I'm trying to think, how many songs are on the album?
10.
10. Okay, you got 10 songs. What's the name of the album? I don't even think I asked that.
The Eccentric. It's not the Eccentric Outlaw. It's just Eccentric Outlaw.
Okay.
Because I'm eccentric, and I got a bit of a rebel attitude that's outlawish.
There we go. And then okay. So I'm assuming once everything is complete, once you have the album and you have your package together, the tour dates. Where can we find out when that does happen? When the dates will be?
I will have it on my website, obviously. Okay. So that's strangelystudios.com.
Okay.
And that's probably the best place to find it. Go ahead and just look on my website.
Okay.
It probably will be on like different like ticket, like places that sell tickets, because right. I was actually in the music industry before I started being a professional painter and artist and stuff, touring the art festivals and stuff like that.
Right.
So I have an awesome music network in the country scene.
Okay.
My roots are in like rockabilly and psychobilly and stuff like that. So I will probably be opening for bands like Hank 3 and the Reverend Horton Heat and bands like that.
And I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, the Reverend Horton, I've never seen him live, but I've had a buddy who like worshipped at his like altar, and would like whenever we'd hung out, he'd like, look at this video. What? And like half the time we're at the bar, he'd like show me like different videos of the Reverend, which was fantastic.
Great. You have to see him, man. You have to see him in person. There's nothing else like
I've heard it's an experience.
It is.
Now, if you, I don't know if you can or not, but like, where would you, what cities would you like to go to? I mean, do you have that in mind or?
I want to go to cities where there's people. Like I've when I was younger, I played in bars where the crowd was the bartender and that's it. So
I've been to
I'm
those
not
shows.
looking to do that. I'd rather play a show where I'm not getting paid any money,
Right.
where I'm playing in front of 50,000 people or 100,000 people, rather than getting paid really good to play in front of 20 people. So I want to go probably places where there's big concerts or music festivals with lots of people. So I'm thinking San Antonio,
Yep.
Dallas, Houston,
Yep.
Austin. I'm sure I'm missing some of the main ones, but those are the immediate ones in my mind right now.
Okay.
That I'm thinking of. And I'll probably start, I'm in Conroe, so I'll probably start at like the Red Brick Tavern and the Corner Pub and stuff like that, because they do have people there.
Right.
I'll start locally and then spread out like an infection.
Hopefully we'll all have our vaccine so we don't get an infection from your infection.
Oh no, you guys are all going to be infected with Eccentric Outlaw.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. All right, hey Dirk, dude, thank you so much, man. This is a really fun interview, man.
Mm-hmm. Likewise, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so strangelystudios.com for your website. Check out Eccentric Outlaw on Kickstarter. And
you can go to Kickstarter and look up Eccentric Outlaw or Dirk Strangely, whatever.
Perfect. And then hopefully when cons start opening back up, we get to see you and actually maybe do an in-person interview. That'd be I love in-person interviews because you never know what the hell's gonna happen.
Yeah, and you can fist bump.
Exactly. Boom.
Boom.
All right, Dirk. Hey, appreciate you so much, man. Wish you nothing but the very best with this album, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was nice chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you as well. And also, as always, make sure to like and subscribe and find us on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook at Bayou City Geeks. I am Bobby Behar, and as always, be safe.